Hi guys, it's me, Skylar Capri, and today we are going to be doing my Bath & Body Works February timelines and predictions videos. You guys love watching these videos, I love making these videos, so if you're returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. We do all things body care on my channel, so if that sounds like something interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's dive right on into the video. All right, you guys, I'm going to sit on this side of the screen and put some images up right here. Let's start out with our January recap. Now, in January of 2026, we mainly saw three things. First is going to be the wrap up of the winter semi-annual sale for 2025. So we got bringbacks such as Island Margarita and Watermelon Mojito, alongside things like Lovely Dreamer and Fairy Tale, in addition to the leftover overstock of the holiday, of Milk Bar, really anything that we saw October through December in Bath & Body Works. So that was really the first half of January. And then we got a new round of the everyday luxuries. So we received 5 new fragrances, and those were Eau de Coconut, Salted Shorelines, Always Fleur, Hello Happiness, and Love Unleashed. This collection did very well in my store. So many people were so excited to see this. They were a lot of fragrances that people really enjoy the high-end version. So big success there. And then the last kind of collection that we got in January to round us out is going to be the Valentine's Day collection. Now, for many of us, the Valentine's Day collection really wasn't anything special this year, except if you are huge fans of the 2 bringbacks, Strawberry Pound Cake and Sweetheart Cherry. And this is just going to be something you're always going to want to see year after year after year. But as far as new product goes, the only new product that we got for Valentine's Day is actually part of the men's collection, and that was Nocturnal Rose. Rather than any new products, in addition to the Strawberry Pound Cake and the Sweetheart Cherry, we also received some repackaged fragrances in the Covered in Roses, as well as the just generic rose. And then obviously we got the aromatherapy back as well, and that was the Inspire Love aromatherapy that we saw the last couple of years. So that really wraps up January at Bath & Body Works. Now, what can we expect for February? So what I'm going to do is going to pull from February of 2025. Do I think it's going to happen in February 2026? Do I think it's going to be something a little bit different, kind of going back and forth between the 2 years? Now, the first one is going to be the Disney Princesses collection that we saw in February of 2025. So this was a huge collaboration for Bath & Body Works. It was an 85 plus piece collection, and people really went crazy for this, especially if they were a collector of the kind of coin purses or the pocket back holders. Those really flew off the shelves. Or if they were just Disney fans in general, this was a very, very popular collection. Now, this one featured 6 fragrances, including Cinderella, Moana, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, and Tiana. The one that I picked up and my favorite was Tiana, and that one had notes of Shimmering Bayou Woods, I believe it was Delicate Water Lily, and then I think it was Amber. It was something kind of creamy at the base of it. Really pretty fragrance. Honestly, would love to see the one back. I paired it with At the Beach, and I absolutely love that combo, especially as someone who's kind of getting sick of the run-of-the-mill tropical fragrances that we're seeing year after year after year. Highly recommend that combo. And honestly, highly recommend At the Beach. That is a really good hidden gem. If maybe you're sick of the tropical collection, but you still want something summery and fun, really recommend At the Beach. And it will be on kind of the back walls of your store in the signature line. So it is easy to kind of skip over that one. But we did see that Disney Princesses collection in 2025. As far as repeating this into 2026, I want to make it very clear I am not employed or affiliated with Bath & Body Works or any of the brands that they choose to collaborate with. These are all my personal opinions based off my research, based off videos I've done, and based off honestly just looking at Bath & Body Works patterns over the last couple of years. That being said, do I think that we could see a collaboration in February, and do I think one is likely? Absolutely. I think Bath & Body Works collaborations are really becoming a profitable side of the business for them. So definitely having one early in Q1, Q2 is something they're going to push for, at least what I think they're going to push for. Now, could it be a Disney Princesses collaboration part 2? Absolutely. Just the nature of those fragrances are very springtime inherently, so I could definitely see them having a lot of success there. I could also see them doing maybe a candy company collaboration, maybe like a drinks or a beverage or a bakery kind of collaboration, as we saw a lot of success success with those last year. If you're interested in my specific predictions for collaborations exclusively, I did just make a video all about collaborations, so I highly recommend you check that one out. But as far as February of 2026, I can definitely say that I would be expecting to see a collaboration. Could it be Disney princesses? I think it would be likely. Now, the next thing that we saw in February of 2025 is going to be the Tropical Collection. Now, I believe the Tropical Collection first appeared online in early February, and then I think it was towards the latter half of the month. That's when we started to see it come up in stores. Now, the 4 fragrances that we saw last year are going to be Waikiki Beach Coconut, Costa Rica Pink Pineapple Sunrise, Bahamas Passion Fruit and Banana Flower, and then lastly, Thailand Sweet Kiwi and Starfruit. And I believe all of those eventually made its way into stores. Now, when we're talking about the Tropical Collection for 2026, we have already been starting to see some spoiler images. I already did a video on the tropical spoilers, so definitely wouldn't be surprised to see Tropical coming at a minimum online in February, and then maybe coming out into the stores in the latter half of February, maybe the last week or so. I definitely think that's probable because we're already seeing those spoilers. People already have expectations for when they'd like to see Tropical, and it seems that every single year Bath & Body Works is pushing the Tropical start date earlier and earlier and earlier. So definitely think that we could be seeing Tropical in February of 2026 as well. The next thing that we saw in 2025 was their St. Patrick's Day collection, and a lot of you, I'm sure, are going to go, what St. Patrick's Day collection? I didn't even know that they did St. Patrick's Day. Bath & Body Works, for whatever reason, does not do a huge St. Patrick's Day collection. They really never have. The thing that we saw in 2025, I believe it was a pocket back holder as well as a single wick candle. And that single wick candle was the Lucky Vibes Irish Cream Pound Cake. Now, I am not someone who drinks coffee. I'm also not a huge fan of the smell of coffee. So things like this one, Paris Cafe, and then in the body care, things like Rich Espresso or Vanilla Cafe are just not really my thing. So I didn't end up picking this one up, but really from what I saw reviews wise on YouTube, and also just like my siblings and my mom smelling this, and some of them do drink coffee, this just wasn't a very popular fragrance. And I'm not sure if this was the second or third year they brought this one back as of 2025. I don't know if we're gonna see any St. Patrick's Day merch really continuing into 2026. I feel like they've really missed the ball on a lot of their St. Patrick's Day things that they could be doing. I would absolutely love to see body care. I would love to see a pocket back. I would love to see something new and original. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like they have the market to do St. Patrick's Day, especially if they do a huge collaboration. Why would you want another product kind of competing with that collaboration? So I think that the St. Patrick's Day collection is definitely super fragile as we go into 2026. Wouldn't be surprised if they just completely cancel it. Wouldn't be surprised if it's again just a small single wick, maybe a pocket back, maybe a pocket back holder. Now, the last thing we got in February of 2025 was their Easter collection. I feel like you can't even really call it an Easter collection, especially if you're talking in terms of body care. And that is when all of the Easter started showing up online. I don't believe it actually hit stores until it got into March. So we did kind of get an Easter preview online. And the 2 body care fragrances, if you can't even remember, were 2 minis. And it was Tutti Frutti Candy, which is very much like a jelly bean type of fragrance, as well as Sweet Carrot Cake. I actually have the Sweet Carrot Cake hand soap and the foaming hand soap, so I'll have to bring that one out and smell it as we get closer to Easter and maybe an Easter collection drop. But when we're thinking about an Easter collection for 2026 and we're looking at years previous for Easter, Easter actually used to be a pretty big holiday at Bath & Body Works. We used to always get Happy Easter or Tutti Frutti Candy in the full-size body care for a couple of years there. We also got Daffodil Daydreams in full-size body care for one of the years, which is like a really pretty daffodil and marshmallow style fragrance. However, last year we only got body care in the minis. When it came to candles, I think they only did 3 candles. I remember them doing the Sweet Carrot Cake in the candle. I want to say Tutti Frutti Candy. And then they had kind of the specialty candle, which was, I believe it was like a cream candle and then like a blue label. And that one was like the orange cream I made like orange cream and chocolate style candle, if I'm remembering that one correctly, in addition to some hand soaps and then a lot of home accessories. However, when we're thinking in terms of body care, not exactly sure what's happening with the Easter collection, and especially if they do a huge collaboration to kick off February, I could definitely see them really not putting a lot of focus onto an Easter collection and maybe even slowly phasing that one out. In addition to really what we saw in February of 2025 and then thinking about February of 2026, definitely be on the lookout for online exclusives. For whatever reason it is, it seems like in spring, that is when we see the most online exclusives popping up on the Bath & Body Works website. There will be very limited promo about these. You really won't know about them unless you're actually going on the website. So every week or so, I do check so I can make a video for you guys if I see something new. That's how I caught the salted, I always want to say it's salted shorelines, but it's saltwater breeze. That's how I caught that saltwater breeze had returned, and then I made that entire video on things like Gingham Love, Dark Kiss, Gingham Fresh. So definitely be on the lookout for online exclusives. I think February is going to be a super popular time for when they start putting those on the website. But as of now, that's all that we have for the predictions and the timelines. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking for February of 2026. But I think regardless, it's going to be a big month where we're seeing a lot of new and exciting product. So you guys, that really wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found it helpful, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys.